Hi. Hello.
Hello.
There we go. I pushed the button and it actually worked. That's a bonus. Hey, it is Tuesday. That means it is our comic book preview, and we're going to talk about a bunch of comics. Is there a bunch of
We,
comics this week?
well, it's
Does this
funny.
seem a little high to
It's,
you?
it,
Let's adjust that a
there,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Let's adjust it a
It's
little
funny
bit.
that you say that a bunch of comics. I really don't have a bunch of
There's
comics
not a
today.
bunch of comics.
Partly because I don't know where you live, Dan, but in this general area in the
Mhm.
Midwest, we've been having some pretty rough weather,
Mhm.
and thus far we haven't even gotten our entire shipment of
Mhm.
books that we're expecting in.
Mhm.
So it was a little slim pickings,
Uh-huh.
but I was able to. Well, I should say all the stuff that I want showed
Mhm.
up, so I'm pretty okay with
So you're
it. You know,
happy.
I'm fine.
Well,
It's
I mean,
not like a.
as long as you're happy,
I mean,
that's
that's really all that matters.
the important
But
part.
yeah, we got a stack. There's a few notable books that's worth
Mhm.
talking about,
Mhm.
and I always like to start
With
with
uh,
uh,
facsimile cover.
facsimile.
Boom! Look at
Boom.
it.
This might be the first time where we have a facsimile that we might have already talked about on the
Did
show.
we
I
talk
this
about
is
the actual issue?
no, no,
We haven't
no,
been doing the show that long.
no. We haven't been doing it since 1961. No.
No, not quite.
I don't remember if we've talked about this facsimile before.
Mhm.
This one is DC has put this out multiple times.
Mhm.
This is the famous Flash of Two Worlds comic,
Oh yeah.
and this is kind of the origin of a lot of superhero multiverse stuff.
Uh-oh.
Because this was, yeah, I know we can blame this book for everything.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Flash.
Thanks, Flash.
The
I
only
see the two Flashes doing their thing.
Yeah. So the thing that's notable about it is it's not just that it's like multiverse stuff. It's
Mhm.
one of the first instances of like a meta commentary in a superhero comic as
Okay.
well.
All right.
Because so like for a little bit of history lesson for you,
Oh jeez.
Jay Garrick was the first Flash that was introduced in the 40s.
Uh-huh.
And then that book stopped being published at some point.
Mhm.
And then in the Silver Age, in the late 50s, mid 50s, I don't remember exactly when,
Mhm.
but they started a new Flash comic book because DC Comics just bought the rights to like every superhero that was no longer being used,
Yeah, yeah.
and they created this Flash, the
Mhm.
Barry Allen Flash. So then that was a successful book. This is issue 123. So after 123 issues, they decided, hey, let's just bring back the original Flash because why not?
Why not?
And what's neat about it is that the way they do it, like so, Flash accidentally goes into essentially a parallel reality,
Mhm.
and he recognizes everything as being the stuff that's in the Flash comics that he read as a kid. And
Okay.
so the original Flash are the Flash comics that he read,
Mhm.
and now he's in a parallel reality where those comics are real life.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's not just a parallel reality, but
Jesus.
the other notable thing that I think is really interesting
Yeah.
is if I can find the panel here, is that they actually name drop the creator of
Flash?
the original Flash.
Okay.
Yeah, because they talk about how he wrote the comic books, and yeah, they actually mentioned a writer named Gardner Fox wrote about your adventures, and that's kind of a big deal
That's
because
weird.
well, it's neat because in this era, comic book creators really weren't ever credited for the work that I mean, even in this issue,
Mhm.
it's not like the credits of who wrote and drew this issue are not in it. But
No one knows.
no one knows
To this very
to
day.
this day.
No
Yeah,
one,
but we know
no one has
Gardner
any
Fox.
idea. He thought of it. It came to him in a dream.
Yeah, well, that's so
I know,
that's
I read that.
you're reading the line. I was like, wow, Dan, you really
All right, guys, I've been doing my homework
yeah.
on this whole comic book thing. I'll tell you, I am pretty much an expert now after being on this stream. So
Well, I mean,
Cool.
you've been talking with me for like
yeah,
several months now.
I've
Some of it's
just been
gotta
soaking it in, dude.
some
Like
of
a
it's gonna
sponge.
stick. Yeah.
Soaking it in.
But anyway, so that's a cool facsimile.
Neat.
Like I can't remember if we talked about it or not, but I like the Silver Age stuff.
Hi, Keystone.
Hello.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about Flash, but I didn't know that they're responsible for all this metaverse,
Yeah.
multiverse situation. I don't want to say garbage, but
Well,
situation.
it's
It's just gotten too confusing for me, man.
I'm certainly fatigued by it. That's the word.
Yes,
Yeah, fatigued.
that's enough of that. All right,
Yes.
what else
All
we
right.
got? What do we got?
Another facsimile. X-Men number
Yay,
4.
X-Men.
This is the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants,
Oh.
including the Scarlet Witch, who's green on the cover because
that's a little confusing.
this cover famously had a bunch of coloring mistakes. You can see Magneto's helmet is purple.
What color is it normally?
It's red.
I thought it was purple.
No, it's like it's red, but like with purple like trim. The helmet itself is supposed to be red.
So Scarlet Witch being green.
Scarlet Witch is green though. That's pretty bad.
Pretty big screw up.
Yeah. And Quickspeed originally was green, although later on he does adopt a blue costume. I assume because they're kind of paying homage to the mistake on the cover. But yeah, this is just it's the return of Magneto. It's a classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby X-Men story.
Well, she's red here.
She's red. No, the inside it's correct.
Fine.
Yeah, that's how you know it's an actual mistake on the cover because, like you said, she's green there, but throughout the whole book she's colored correctly.
Interesting.
Yeah, they call her the Scarlet Witch and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I like the old, me. I like Jack Kirby. I like the old stuff.
Big Jack Kirby.
So I'm always happy to see reprints of the older stuff because I'm probably never gonna buy an original X-Men 4. So this is the next best thing. Okay, talking about. I don't know what we're talking about.
Can I go on record as saying this is a horrible cover?
Okay.
All right.
We have not rehearsed this
let's
at
take
all.
A look.
Like
that is awful. All right, go on. What were you gonna say?
Okay, I just want people to know I didn't coach Dan on what he should say here.
When you revealed it, I was like, ugh.
So this is
I drew that when I was 12. So it's just
so I almost didn't want to talk about this because I actually, believe it or not, Dan, I don't like to be negative.
Sorry.
This is a kind of a somewhat infamous variant cover that's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is it went viral a few months ago when it was solicited because of a lot of people had a reaction similar to what Dan just had.
Yeah.
But also because it's by John Cassidy, who is a great artist and he's done tons of amazing stuff.
What happened?
And so that's it. That's the question on everybody's mind right now. So I do kind of find it interesting, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of tempted to get one for myself just because of the meme about it. It's because it's gone viral. It's so fascinating. I like I said, I don't want to break it down too much to actually talk, but
no, I mean it's better than I could draw. Let's go there. It's better than anything I could draw.
That's fair. Yeah.
But compared to a lot of the things that we've seen and we've showed you guys, I mean it's very obviously wasn't given the attention it might have deserved.
Right, and I think that's a key component that kind of gets lost whenever people talk about this, at least on the internet.
Yeah.
It's because like there's literally like an infinite number of reasons that this ended up like this. That he could just be. It was something that he had like the deadline was a weekend. And he just had to bang it out.
Days.
It could be it could be him not caring about it. It could be him like just trying to do something new artistically, and it just didn't land. You don't know. There's a lot of reasons, and so I think that's just kind of fascinating. Like if I just saw this cover, it's another one of those things where if it didn't have that little John Cassidy signature, I would have even looked at this and I'd just been like, it's another typically mediocre cover.
Wow.
to be as nice as possible. But because it's John Cassidy, that makes it interesting to me.
You're giving it a little bit more benefit of the doubt because of the artist.
Well, yeah, but it also, like, as an art piece, it suddenly is interesting because I know what this guy's capable of, like in the other works that he's done. Like he's drawn Wolverine 100 times. Like he's not like it's not like he hasn't drawn these characters before. But so yeah, that's if you're, I know this issue has had like a little bit of attention paid to it, more than a normal variant cover would, which that's the other fascinating thing is that John Cassidy's done a lot of great variant covers out there that nobody really cares about because they're just another good cover.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's like it's kind of becoming like a thing where everybody's like, "Oh, I want to get
out
that."
Like a sore thumb.
That's exactly right.
Well, what about the story? What's going on in X-Force here? Like, does it even matter?
I haven't read X-Force. I will say I know I have some friends who read it and they like it. They say it's his arm looks like a thumb. Yeah, it does.
It's not. Yeah.
The perspective is like weird.
I feel I'm not gonna dog on it too bad, but I've very much feel like it's something that like you would have sketched like in like 10th grade or something like that. And been like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
you learn about like perspective and anatomy and all these kind of things. But again, I can't draw stick figures, so I'm just gonna stop
Well,
talking about it.
it even could be a thing where it was not meant to be a cover. This was just like a little quick sketch that he did to just like work on designs, because this is a thing that is, it's like an open secret in the industry. Like it will happen where you'll just like Marvel will pay you for some work and you'll just do a bunch of like drawings, and then Marvel will take it and they'll dress it all up and put a logo on it, and now it's a cover, and it was never meant to be a cover. Like that is a thing that happens. So this could even be something that was not necessarily meant to be a cover.
Yeah, he's probably like maybe angry about it right now. Like, why did they use that one?
Right. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it just as easily could be meant to be a cover. I don't want to dwell on it too long.
This is all conjecture.
This is all conjecture. But it is notable that to point out that it is coming out tomorrow, because I know that like there's been some talk online about it. Like people are kind of curious about it. So yep, it's a thing that's happening, and we got a couple copies in the store.
X-Force.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to just some of the books that's in my regular pull. Daredevil, Black Armor.
Daredevil, yes.
Yes, exactly. I'm really excited for this one. Actually, this has a very cool. This is a variant cover by Kevin Eastman.
Ah, yes. And I was gonna say it's got that Ninja Turtle feel.
It does, yeah. Creator of Ninja Turtles, yep. And that's it's just interesting. Like just talking about art, because I've always been fascinated by Kevin Eastman. He's another artist that I think a lot of people would agree that it's not the sharpest art style. Like it has like a little bit of like an amateurish feel to it, but also it's just really recognizable as his work.
It's a signature style.
Yeah, it's a signature style, and it's like really, I don't know how else to say it, like aesthetically pleasing. Like I can look at it and be like, wow, it's some of it feels really rough, but like I like it like that. Like it looks great.
Yeah.
And so just like, just talking about it in reflection, comparing it to the previous cover we just talked about, where it's like, I don't like how weird it looks. Whereas this one, whenever I see Kevin Eastman's art and like sometimes it's weird, I do like it. Yeah. So it's just, it's interesting to think about, I don't know, how art like affects you and moves you and stuff.
I feel like this is purposefully raw.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
It's got like this, it doesn't have to be photoreal. It's playing with like the values with like the hash marks and things that he does on everything, and I really, really like that. And it just seems like it's supposed to be gritty.
Yeah,
and
very much
so. Give you very much like hand drawn feel. This is not like one of those Marvel comics where everything is like super slick and super smooth, and it just kind of takes the soul out of it. So
yeah. So this cover jumped out to me, and I'm really glad that he's finally doing a variant for a book that I'm buying, because I like I just told you, I was wrestling and even contemplating about getting that John Cassidy variant, but I generally I'm morally opposed to buying a book just for the variant cover. Like if I like the cover, I really only want to buy a book. I know Dan and I are like, we're the original odd couple when it comes to this. I really only want to buy a book if I want to read it, or if I really like it.
I like the covers. I'm a sucker for a cover.
Well, that being said, I'm not going to pretend I'm holier than thou. I have bought some books just for the cover. Like, I'm not saying I don't do it. I'm just saying I don't like doing it. So
fair.
Yeah.
What's going on with Daredevil?
So this is another one of those what have I been calling them? Retro continuity books.
Okay.
So it's a story that takes place in the era of the mid 90s, when he was under an alias. I think he was going by the name Jack Murdoch. Is that right? No, I'm already mixing this up. Yeah. But Matt Murdock, Jack Murphy, battling Jack Murphy. Matt Murdock was believed to be dead, and so there's like so much going on. He's got a new costume and pretending to be a different Daredevil, and I can't even find a good shot of it in this issue. So there's your costume. So he's in the famous Black Armor costume, which is, it's the extreme 90s. Everybody went through their shoulder pad era. Yeah. And but it's also like, it's not enough that he's pretending to be a different Daredevil. He's also a different, like, he's not Matt Murdock. He's pretending to be Jack Murphy. So there's interesting. It's like the era where Matt Murdock was kind of like going crazy and struggling with his identity. Yeah, but it is the original writer, D.G. Chichester. And I really like it because I like reading comics of that era, and I like that writing style. I think you can definitely tell, like when you read a book from like the 80s and 90s, like a writer working in comics at that period writes it differently than somebody who's writing comics today. And so that's why I say it's definitely retro. Like the appeal is for I don't know. I won't necessarily say it's for older readers, but it certainly appeals to me because of that.
Who is an older reader?
Yes, me. That's me. I'm an older reader. Another few books just to blast through that's in my pull. Hexagon Bridge. Yeah, this is the final issue. Actually, I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to because the last issue ended with like a pretty big
5-issue situation.
It was, and I think I've talked about these issues as they've been happening, where it's like kind of a slow moving story. But issues like 3 issues, more like I think 4 is where everything like really like all kind of came together in like a good way. So I'm really excited to kind of see where it goes with this. But the art is beautiful. This is it's written and drawn by Richard Blake. It's just a one-man operation, and it looks great. As I've said before, I love the cover design. Like I like the look of it, the whole aesthetic, the vibe. Yeah,
the very scientific,
really cool stuff. Yeah, really good book. So this is going to make a nice collection, a nice trade paperback collection. So I highly recommend checking this out. Another book that's on my list, Dracula. I think we've talked about this one a few times. This is
who did that cover?
This is you know what?
Why don't I have?
Why don't you have that cover? Yeah,
Why
is this Is it
That's Jenny Frison.
Yeah, they're right there, Jenny Frison.
That's my
that's your girl.
That's my girl. That's my favorite artist. And so it's better. I gotta go grab one.
Now you gotta go get it off the shelf.
I gotta go get one off
before
the shelf.
I sell it. I like this book a lot. It's written. It's maybe not fair to say it's written by James Tynion because it's a very straightforward adaptation of the original Dracula novel.
Jessica says, "Ooh."
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But the art is beautiful. I think that's what really sells me on it. By Martin Simmons. Like it's just got this real cool,
very moody, atmospheric, creepy art.
Creepy art, which is what you want in a comic book.
Yeah, it's like, Dracula though.
Exactly. It's a monster. Creepy. And like you can that's I think it's what makes comics so great is because like this is a story that has existed in many mediums. Like you can read this comic.
Dracula?
Yeah, Dracula.
I never heard of it.
You never heard of it?
No.
I mean, it was it was a movie back in the 90s starring Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was a good one.
I feel like there was a Keanu Reeves talking in a southern accent situation.
Some kind of
English accent.
Some kind of accent.
Oh boy, that was so bad.
Yeah. Oof. Hideous.
All right, we're not going to go there just yet.
we talked about it the last time I talked about this comic. We did. Yes.
Oh man, how could you not?
Because that movie, the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, has simultaneously the greatest acting you've ever seen in a movie and the worst acting you've ever seen in a movie.
Like anything Gary Oldman is pretty good.
Yeah, solid. But anyway, so what I'm getting at is most people probably know the story of Dracula like forwards and backwards. You've just seen so many movies and adaptations. So what you're really getting this book for is the art, and it is just really good. Like I really like the art. It just completely sells it.
Jessica says, I enjoyed the first 3 very painterly, reminds me of early Sandman covers.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Absolutely. All right.
Dracula, get it? He's a guy. He sucks blood.
That's what he does. All right. Also on my pull list, the Schlub. This is the final issue of this story arc.
I feel like the Schlub came out when we started doing this stream.
It was maybe a little bit after, but I mean it's been going for 6 issues.
Yeah, we've been schlubbing for a while.
We have been, and I'm always quick to point it out because I really like it, and I don't want to dwell too much on it, but it's a good, solid superhero comic that's not a Marvel and DC book. I particularly really like the art. Its art is by Tyrell Cannon, and he just really kills it. In my opinion, too many mainstream superhero comics are stuck in like a photorealistic style where they want everything to look, as far as I'm concerned, they want it to look like a movie still.
Like they want produced.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas this art looks like a comic book.
Yeah, it looks like a cartoon. Yeah,
exactly. Like there's a lot of cool cartooning in the character designs. Like the superhero just like looks like a classic art superhero, lantern jaw, and then the Schlub guy, he's a little pot-bellied ginger freak. But yeah, it's a really good book. The basic high concept is that the hero and the eponymous switch bodies, so it's like a Freaky Friday situation, and they kind of have to learn. They learn to kind of get over some of their problems, work together a little bit. There's a supervillain involved that's trying to steal the superhero body. There's a few plot twists here and there, and it has a pretty good ending that does like I was really impressed by it because it does a good job of ending the story in a satisfactory way while also leaving it open for there to be more. Like I was really concerned that it would just be like a the end, like completely, and then it's like that's all you get, and then maybe if it's super successful, we'll do another one, and we'll have to come up with a reason like why we want to keep doing it. Like this felt like it's a really natural like end of the story arc, but it can very easily keep going. So I'm hoping they do more. I hope this book kind of keeps
more schlub.
Yeah, I want more schlub. It's great. It's fun. I like fun superhero comics. It's good stuff.
All right, what else?
Here we go.
Oh my goodness.
This is
What's this all
boom.
About?
This is a comic that we're going to be highlighting a lot in our store. This is called what is it called? Ultraverse?
The Ultraverse. I don't know. Ultraverse. I say Ultraverse.
I've been saying Ultraverse.
Ultraverse?
Yeah, ALTR.
Ultra. Yeah, there's someone in the chat that could explain.
Oh wait,
you say it.
There's no A there. I was thinking the V was like an upside down A.
Oh
my gosh!
Like that's is it?
Well, because there's like two.
Well, there's two in there.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm confused. I've been saying Ultraverse.
Ultraverse is acceptable, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know.
So this
is it Ultraverse or
Susie?
Ultraverse?
We need you to settle this. Like, what is the title of this book? Because I know you said. Oh, Dan is correct. Okay.
As usual.
What did you say, Dan?
Ultraverse.
Ultraverse.
Like an alternate universe.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Got it. It does. Yeah. So Aaron spelled it wrong. Oh, thanks, Susie.
Wow.
Dang. Well, it's true. I did
it. Why is this?
So why are we talking about this book?
Why would we have this book of all books in the store?
This book is one of the stories in it. It has two short stories in it. One of them is illustrated by our good friend Susie B. Doodles. Susie Blake, credit right there.
Boom! Look at that in a whole book.
So this is
in a whole real comic book.
It's real, all right.
It's so real.
This is created by
pay for that realness.
It's created by a popular YouTuber, Jacksepticeye, who I am not familiar with because I'm over the age of 40, so I don't watch YouTube. But
oh, goodness.
I'm led to believe that he's very popular. And yeah, this is a comic that Susie did. It's kind of neat. So, like, I guess the setup with this character is he's like a kind of a magical detective, and what I found funny was this opening page they do like a parody or a twist on the classic Batman origin where they're getting held up, and I don't know about the writer of this story, but as I understand it, Jacksepticeye is Irish, and that definitely goes through in this story. Like, it takes place in London, and so all the characters kind of talk with like local colloquialisms that are not American. So like this, they're getting held up, and the robber says, "Wallets, mobiles. Let's have those Pearl, mother. Come on, Dan. Do you know what a mobile is?"
Yeah, it's a phone.
It's a cell phone, but like
who says that?
Who says mobile? Give me your mobile.
Give me your mobile.
And there's a few other little like colloquialisms.
Well, it's also
that I got to chuckle.
In the past too, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, I think it takes place in the past.
It might. Well, so when that would be more pronounced,
right?
Because
it would make more sense.
It would.
Pretty sure it takes place.
Susie, can you confirm? We know you're watching.
I know. I don't know why Susie's just not here talking about the book.
She's probably working, like drawing a comic book. Man, when you're a freelance artist, you're working all the time.
You don't got no time.
It's true.
You ain't got no kids.
But what's the other neat thing about this? I enjoyed. Well, I guess maybe we could point out. So, like, it's one of the weird things when you are friends with an artist or somebody that makes comics is that they frequently will. The next issue takes place in the 90s. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, so yeah, I guess this probably does take place
like prime years.
Wow, how old are you?
Old
enough to party. So one of the things when you are friends with an artist is that they'll use people that they know as like
references.
models and references. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a character. Oh, it's in the background of this page there. That's
oh yeah, let's go in on there.
That's one of our coworkers was used as a model for that character in the background. It's hard to see; she's in shadow. She shows up on another page.
It's just a lot of fun.
But yeah, it's fun. My other favorite thing about this is there's a couple of scenes with a cat. This is a beautifully illustrated cat.
Look at that cat.
Look at that cat.
That's my favorite part.
I love that. And I'm led to believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Susie, is this your cat that you just drew into this comic? I think it is. She even went so far as to draw a little cat butt there.
Well, look at the cat butt.
Yeah.
Details, That was in the details.
But yeah, that's...
What did you think about the story, though, like, altogether? Like, did you read it?
So I did read it.
Okay.
It has 2 short stories.
Yeah.
The second one is by somebody that's not Susie, so we're not going to talk about it that much. It's more of a superhero thing than a magical detective thing. It's really like so this is this issue 0?
That's like
it is an issue 0, so it's like a prologue to the story. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice setup to where the story is going, but it really operated more like a preview just to give you like a little taste. So I will admit there wasn't a lot to like sink your teeth into for me, like to really get into like what's going on. But there's some nice little teasers there. Oh yeah, Susie says her cat Tobes makes a great drawing reference. Yep, that's good. But yeah, so come on by the shop, get yourself a copy of what is that title, Dan? Alterverse, because I don't want to say it incorrectly. And Susie, our friend Susie, we've been talking about. I guess I didn't specify. Susie works here with us sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. She's busy. She's busy drawing comics most of the time. Well, and even, just because she's here doesn't mean she's working. But she is here sometimes. So if you swing by the shop and grab a copy, I'm sure she would be happy to sign and maybe do a little scribble graffiti tag on it. Yeah. But you got to ask, because otherwise, I'm not doing it. Alterverse. Boom. Talking about prologues and previews coming up, we also have Ghost Machine.
Yeah, so this Ghost Machine.
We have like a million variant covers for this comic. I only have the regular comic.
Looks pretty cool.
It is, because it's got some cool art. This is let's see, who is that? I've already forgotten. I've already forgotten who does this cover. I lost track of it. There's just too many creators in this book.
That's a lot of creators.
Yeah, look at this. So this is, if you're not familiar with Ghost Machine,
I'm not.
This is a new creator-owned shared universe that a bunch of creators that work for Marvel and DC, they're kind of following in the footsteps of Image, who is publishing this book. And they just said, let's just take all of our stuff that we want to do and just put it all together and kind of do our own thing. And so they're partnering with Image. I don't think they're going to be publishing it themselves. It'll still be published through Image, so you can consider it's like a sub imprint of Image, the same way that like Skybound is like Robert Kirkman's section of Image, and McFarlane has whatever his is. I forget already. McFarlane Productions. Yeah. Anyway, so this is it's a hefty book. There's a lot of pages here. It's a thick book, and it's a preview of the comics that they will be publishing. So Geiger and Junkyard Joe will be continuing from Jeff Johns. He put those series out the last couple of years through Image, and they're expanding the universe. They're doing some more stories. They have this character called the Red Coat. This art by Brian Hitch, who is another great artist. It's all like really top of the line creators, artists especially. And I think it's guys they're like veterans of the industry, and they kind of want to get out from under the freelancer's thumb of like working for, like, they want to get out from under the publisher's thumb and do their own thing, because I think
create their own universe.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I actually read an interview with Brian Hitch, and he said he's kind of at this age now where he doesn't want to draw something for somebody else. He just wants to work on whatever he wants to work on. And then he kind of boldly declared that he will never work for Marvel or DC ever again. So there's still a Superman book that he illustrated that will be coming out later this year. But as far as I know, he has no plans of like doing anything with Marvel or DC. Like
Wow.
he's just going to be doing this stuff, which is kind of cool. Just because I'm in favor of more like different comics. I want more stories. I don't necessarily want the same old, same old. And there's a lot of different stuff in this. Too much for me to like directly explain what every little story is, but it's like a mix of a lot of it is kind of in the like sci-fi genre, a little bit of a mix of action adventure, a little bit of horror, a little bit of actually like family comedy. They have Ghost Machine's family universe is full of heart, heroics, and humor. So this is more of like an all ages adventure. This book, which is called The Rockefellers, I believe is what it's called, and it's kind of like a Johnny Quest meets the Fantastic Four situation where it's like a family of like super adventurers and
interesting.
yeah, it's but the art again beautiful, like it's really good looking stuff. So this is I know a lot of people have been pretty excited for this to kind of see where because they announced this several months ago that Ghost Machine was happening, and now we're finally kind of seeing like what they're going to do with it and what's coming out of it. So it is kind of exciting, just all this new stuff, cool stories, cool books. If you were even remotely interested in any of these, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a good preview for what's to come. Some of it like kind of similar to what I was saying, in fairness, about the previous book we talked about, Alterverse. Some of it does like it's just very, very little, and it doesn't give you a lot to kind of sink your teeth into. So it does kind of have some of it, it's like a full story, and then some of them are just like, here's like 4 preview pages of the issue, when it comes out.
And stuff.
And so some of it does have a feeling where you're just kind of thrown into it, and there's not, because you're not reading the actual issue, you're just reading a 4-page excerpt, so it's hard to, like, you're just kind of thrown in and you don't really know what the story is. But
the art's doing most
the
of the work.
The art is doing all the work, and it's just teasing you into like what to expect. So I mean, again,
Ghost Machine.
Yeah, Ghost Machine looks great. All right, I got 2 more books.
Power
Pack. I am excited for this.
Power Pack number 1.
Yeah, so this is another one of those retro continuity books that I was talking about with Marvel. But I really think it's important to point this out. I know you're excited, Dan.
I gotta know.
So with a lot of these Marvel retro books, one of the things I've been complaining about is that they make a big deal about getting the original writer, in this case Louise Simonson, to come back and tell a new story from the era when they were originally doing these comics. Power Pack originally debuted in 1984, so it's literally 40 years old. And it's really cool that they got her back to write another story. But, and this is where I got to give Marvel props, they didn't just get the writer Louise Simonson. They got the original artist June Brigman to come back and draw it. And I actually have here the original Power Pack number 1.
Look at it.
It's cool. Like it's the nice little it's like poetry. They rhyme.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, so I thought that was really cool that it is, it's the original writer and artist doing a new story kind of set in the 80s, early 90s era of the comic. And if you don't know what Power Pack was,
I don't.
It's
tell us about Power Pack.
I love Power Pack, but it is also very much like a kid's comic. The story is that
I wouldn't have guessed that.
You wouldn't have guessed that from the children.
Yeah.
So the main characters are these four siblings. Yeah. Their last name is Power.
Oh.
And they all it's very cute. And they all get superpowers and they decide to become superheroes.
Right.
And one of the things I like most about it is that one of the classic tropes of being a superhero is that you have your secret identity and you can't let anybody know. Spider-Man can't let anybody. Peter Parker can't let anybody know he's Spider-Man.
Whoa, what?
Well, it is so.
You can't just say his name.
I just blurted it out on the internet. Well, it's okay. Nobody remembers who Peter Parker is now, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually something that's kind of bothered me in more like newer superhero stuff is that aspect of superheroes has kind of gone away.
Yeah.
Like nobody really has secret identities anymore.
Like everyone knows Iron Man is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of one of the ones that kind of set the ball in motion where they're like, oh yeah, we can just have him be like a famous person and he doesn't have to have a secret identity. I feel like Peter Parker is kind of the last one to really maintain, like it's not just that he has like Batman still technically has a secret identity,
Yeah.
but it's not ever like a big deal, like because he doesn't have anybody in his private life. Like everybody in his private life knows that he's Alfred knows he's Batman. The whole Bat family knows he's Batman.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with Superman. Like he's married to Lois Lane. Like she knows he's Superman. Whereas Peter Parker is like
He's still
hanging in there, like trying to keep his superhero life separate from his professional life. And that is something that's still present in Power Pack. And that's what I like about Power Pack is that they can't let their parents know that they're superheroes.
Oh, so even their parents don't.
Their parents don't even know. So it's like a fun.
That's a little twist.
It's a little twist, yeah. And so it kind of captures the spirit of like kids going on adventures, that their parents aren't a part of. It's it's kind of funny to think about it in retrospect, but it is very much like an 80s thing, kids kind of going off unsupervised. But yeah, so it's really
Goonies
good.
Vibe.
Yeah, Goonies. That's a good example. This is kind of like that, but with superpowers.
Nice.
And it's got its own this whole big lore that's built up. Like they get their powers from aliens. And
that'll happen.
Yeah, it happens.
Aliens.
But there was a weird period in the 80s where the Power Pack was kind of showing up everywhere. And they're actually one of the Power Pack characters is actually in one of my all-time favorite issues of X-Men, paired with Wolverine, no less. It's one of the most violent issues of X-Men where Wolverine goes on a berserker rage. But one of the Power Pack kids is there and she like doesn't know what's wrong with him. It's really, really good. And so it's just like it's such a perfect dichotomy, of like this like innocent little kid and then like crazy Wolverine
killing people.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just funny how like in the Power Pack comic, it's really like all ages and fun for kids. But all these other creators like, well, they're still in the Marvel universe, so we'll just put them in our books. And so they would show up in the X-Men, and it's not a kid's book.
In the worst situation.
Yeah. So they're great characters. They're fun comics, and I'm super excited that it's the actual original creative team writing and drawing it. There's some aliens involved.
Nice.
I will say, I think you can just jump into this issue. The Fantastic Four are in it because it's another aspect I didn't really explain. Franklin Richards, the Fantastic Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman's kid, he is friends with Power Pack, so he's kind of like a
mentor.
Like, well, not really a mentor. He's more like a substitute member of the team. Like he's not a part of the family, but he's like their best friend. So he will occasionally go on adventures with them, and so they are present in this issue. So my only real complaint, it's not even really a complaint. It's just hard to say. I think my judgment would be that if you aren't familiar with Power Pack at all, this first issue has a lot of characters in it because they like set up
a lot of people to keep track.
There's a lot of people to keep track of. They set up the Power Pack family. They set up these alien characters that play a part in the story. They set up the Fantastic Four. So this issue definitely feels like it's a little front loaded,
jam packed.
Yeah, it is. But again, that's how comics used to be. You used to be able to sit down and spend more than 5 minutes reading them. Throwing some shade.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's fun. I'm super excited.
Back in my day, it took us 3 hours to read a comic.
That's right. Well, also, I was a really bad reader.
Yeah.
But so, yeah. All right. So, Power Pack. I'm sure we'll be talking about future issues when it comes out. I'm a little excited that there's new Power Pack. I am a fan. I read them as a kid. I only had a few issues actually, but I just read them a lot because one of them had I have one that Spider-Man was in, and I have one that
cool.
that Wolverine is in. They were in a few X-Men issues too.
Never heard of them until today.
Yes, exactly. That's because they kind of like they had their initial run in the 80s and 90s, and then they haven't really done anything with them. They pop up every now and then, but I do feel like they're kind of an untapped property. Like it really bothers me. Here's where I'm really. You want some hot takes?
Let me get relaxed.
You want some hot takes?
Yes,
like
I do.
Marvel.
I do.
Yeah, Disney's missing out on this exactly. Like they're going so hard to try and do these like all ages and kids shows. Like they're pushing these new characters like Miss Marvel and again, not saying there's anything wrong with these characters, but I am just saying like Power Pack is something that's been around for a long time and already has all of the heavy lifting done for them. Yeah. The story is already written, like
already in there,
and all of the best Marvel movies are the ones that are based off of good stories. So I am kind of surprised
they haven't
mined this. Yeah, exactly. Like it feels like something that would just be like so like in line with what Disney's brand is.
Mhm.
Like I have heard some people complain once Disney took over Marvel, you start to see the Marvel characters become Disneyfied a little bit.
Mhm.
Whereas I feel like that's not a thing for Power Pack because they're already like a Disney type of thing.
They made up baby Spider-Man friends, but not this.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. You could even just have Spider-Man in it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, okay.
Perfect crossover.
Rant over. Moving on to our final book
Hey,
because
look,
I don't have.
his helmet is red.
Hey, look! It's red helmet. Boom.
Red, his helmet is red.
All it all comes back.
It's all full circle. This is a very
So,
interesting cover.
This is a cool cover. I like the use of
Yeah.
negative space
I
here.
like a good negative space.
Yeah, it's neat. You know, I always ask a coworker to pick out a book to read, and I asked my doppelganger, Aaron, to pick out a book. And actually, the first book he picked out was The Schlub because he said it looked interesting, and I said, "Well, you're correct. It does look interesting. That's why I already picked it out."
That's
and then,
why I've already doing
then
it.
I explained the whole book to him, and I don't think he's interested in reading it anymore.
No, he knows the plot.
He knows the whole plot.
You explained everything.
I did. But he picked out this book, which is a variant cover. He just picked it out because it's a cool cover and it's got Magneto on it.
Yeah.
This is the resurrection of Magneto.
Magneto.
Now, Dan.
Yeah.
I think I've been pretty open on these streams that I'm not really following a lot of the new, like, current X-Men stuff. Just because I kind of just can't be bothered to. Like, there's so much of it.
You gave up on it.
I did. I gave up on it. And Aaron was correct to pick this book out because it's not something I would have picked out for the stream because I'm not interested in X-Men. But I decided to give this an honest read. You know, if you remember last week, I think the book that was picked out, the Rebel Moon book, I just abandoned it halfway.
Yeah, because it was bad.
Yeah, well, you know, it wasn't that it was boring, which is
that's worse.
I guess that's worse than being bad. As we talked about with that John Cassidy cover, like it's at least interesting. You know,
it's sparking some conversation.
Exactly. Whereas
Rebel Moon wasn't so great. So is this better than Rebel Moon?
So,
is what you're telling me? What are you getting at here?
I don't know what I'm getting at. I guess I'm just saying I did my due diligence and I tried to read this all the way through. I did get it all the way through.
Okay.
So it's if you've not been following X-Men continuity, I don't think you're gonna understand anything in this issue, and that's something that bothers me. Like I was just talking about Power Pack, and I feel like it's going to be a little hard to get into because there's so many characters. This issue, you cannot. Nobody unless you've read like every issue from the last 5 years. I don't think you're going to get any of this.
Oh boy!
But the gist of it is that recently there was a big event in the X-Men continuity, and many of the X-Men characters were killed. One of them being Magneto. And so, although the title of this issue is The Resurrection of Magneto, it's actually about Storm, and she goes on a journey through the underworld to find Magneto so she can bring him back. And that's a pretty simple premise, I guess, but there's so much like talking about everything that's happened leading up to this point. And then I have to admit, at a certain point, I'm reading this and I'm like, where's Magneto? Like, why?
The story, the book's about Magneto.
Yeah, but it's not really about Magneto. That's the catch. But it's not.
He's on the cover.
He's on the cover. I know. So it does feel a little bit like a bait and switch. Like if you were just like a casual X-Men fan, and you're like, oh, I like Magneto. That's a cool cover. You would pick this up and not have any idea what's going on.
You're a hardcore Magneto fan. You're like, I gotta have that. And
hey, they're out there. Magneto's a great character. I really like.
All right,
he's a good character, and I will say so. One thing to the credit of the story, although Storm is in it, I think it does actually. Oh, this is the page. They do a kind of a good job of addressing how complicated Magneto is, and he's gone through different phases. Specifically, this page is about Storm's relationship with Magneto as like he was an enemy, and then kind of he was a mentor. There was a time in the 80s where Professor X was dead and Magneto took over.
Wow.
Magneto took over the school as leader of the X-Men. Wow. Yeah, I know.
Seems unlikely.
Well, you know, a lot of people feel that way. That's why he became a villain again.
Yeah.
You know, and so in the history of the character, which as we've seen, what was that facsimile from 1963? So he's like, what, 60, 70 years now? He's gone back and forth all over the place. He's a complicated character, but he's also like, one minute he's a terrorist that's murdering people, and the next minute he's kind of like a reformed extremist who kind of has some good points about the things that he says,
Mm-hmm.
and also he's sympathetic because he's had a lot of things happen to him, so we understand why he feels the way he does. But also he murders people,
Yeah.
so there's he's kind of been like every version of any character,
Yeah.
Magneto. So he's an interesting character. I do kind of feel like this can't happen, but I do feel like he's like the one character that I'm ready to just stay dead.
Yeah.
Like he works almost better as a symbol
Mm-hmm.
for the X-Men. Like, at one time he was their enemy, then he kind of reformed, but then he was still bad. Now he's dead, and now everything is if I'm speaking hypothetically in the present day, now everything is kind of measured against the memory of Magneto and how people remember it. I think that would be interesting, but instead we're going to bring him back, I'm sure, because
Leave him dead.
that's what I say.
Because Magneto sells comic books.
Oh, that's correct.
That's
he does.
right.
He's a cool character.
Everyone likes Magneto.
You can't in some ways you can't have Professor X without Magneto, because the whole story of the X-Men is their relationship, in many ways. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to read the rest of the issues. I might take a peek at them.
Yeah.
I can't really recommend this to anybody unless you're already reading all of the X-Men.
You're a super X-Men fan.
I feel like you're already reading
going
this.
on. Yeah.
I do. I guess part of my apprehension about it too is that it does feel like a little bit like the X-Men are kind of in this holding pattern, like playing the metagame here. Marvel recently announced that there's a new editor taking over the line, and they're going to be getting some new writers, and they're going to do not like a reboot of the franchise, but it's going to be like new people are taking over, and it's going to be like probably a different creative direction. So this just all feels, this whole series, this era is called Fall of the House of X, and it sort of feels like this is just a bunch of stuff that they need to do to fill a few months before the new people come in and do their thing,
right?
Which is very common in comic books. I mean, it was a thing not even 5 years ago when this whole current era started, when Jonathan Hickman's run started. They announced like Jonathan Hickman's going to take the series in a bold new direction, but that doesn't mean you should stop buying the current books because they're all important.
But nothing is like actually the story's not moving forward like at all. Like,
right. So we'll see. But I mean, with that in mind, this Magneto series does have the option to throw me a curveball and surprise me, because if they might be teasing they're going to do one thing, but then if that's not in line with the new creative direction, they might, it all might be a fake out. Who knows? But it looks like they killed Magneto a few months ago, and now they're going to try and bring him back. At this point, that's just that's like not even an interesting story. Magneto's died and come back like a million times now, like all the X-Men have. Yeah, exactly. So it's hard for me to get enthusiastic about it. The same way I was enthusiastic for the Power Pack.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you were going nuts about
I like Power Pack.
All right, Magneto, Power Pack, yeah. Get the Power Pack. Get Ultraverse. Get Dracula.
Yeah.
Dracula's good.
I would say, actually, my favorite books this week probably Schlub, or of course Schlub. I'm really liking that just for superhero stuff. But Dracula is really great. Like just as a comic book, it's beautiful. Really good stuff.
There you go. That's the books.
Yeah.
It was a light week. Like
it was. Yeah. Well, inclement weather and icy roads and blizzards.
So we didn't get everything.
We didn't get everything. I mean, it might come in before we open tomorrow. We'll see. But because normally mail comes several days in advance so that we can be prepared to sell it.
Yeah.
So who knows? But most of the stuff is on the stands. But there is some stuff that we didn't have. Actually, it might have even come in today. I would have to double check.
I'll go back.
Yeah, I don't. It's not. It's above my pay grade.
It's above his pay grade. Well, if you get a chance to brave the weather, actually it's supposed to be warm.
No, the weather's fine.
The weather's fine now. We were frozen the other day, but come to the store, grab some comic books. There's going to be some stuff on the shelf possibly we didn't talk about today, and plenty of stuff that we did talk about today.
Yeah.
A copy of Ultraverse and bother Susie to draw on it for you. And if you don't get your comics here, get them somewhere because they're awesome.
Yeah.
Check them out. There's something there for everybody. It's not just superheroes. And we'll talk to everyone next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Let's do that. All right. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye.